The practice is called the Metta Bhavana. Metta is a word from the Pali, which was the first language that the Buddha's teachings were written down in. And Bhavana is a word which means to cultivate, to develop. So what we're doing in the Metta Bhavana practice is developing metta. So we need to define our terms, don't we? What is metta? So one translation for metta, Kelly, is?
Love.
Yeah, love. Yeah, love. Some people like the translation of love. Have you heard any others?
Loving kindness.
Loving kindness, yeah. So sometimes people put kindness with it to kind of emphasise. Well, I think what we're trying to do is say it's got nothing to do with Valentine's Day kind of love, which is coming up really soon, isn't it? So why we tend to use metta is if we use love, it obviously has quite a lot of connotations for us all, doesn't it? And it's quite useful using a Pali word because we're trying to give it its own distinction. Yeah, so I think this is a really important point. She talks about love being an action rather than a feeling. And I think in our society, we're obsessed with it as a kind of feeling. And this is what she says. To begin by always thinking of love as an action rather than a feeling is one way in which anyone using the word in this manner automatically assumes accountability and responsibility. We're often taught we have no control over our feelings. It's true, isn't it? Yet most of us accept we choose our actions. That intention and will inform what we do. And then we also accept our actions have consequences. So I think that's a really important point, that if I can get away from love being a feeling but an action, I'm more likely to take responsibility for kind of what's going on in my heart and what I do. And then she goes on to say, if we were constantly remembering that love is as love does, we wouldn't use the word in a manner that devalues and degrades its meaning. When we're loving, we openly and honestly express care, affection, responsibility, respect, commitment, trust. Definitions are vital starting points for the imagination. What we cannot imagine cannot come into being. A good definition marks our starting point and lets us know where we want to end up. So it's really important we get the right starting point with metta. Yeah? So if we confuse it with chocolate box love, this meditation isn't going to work. And this is where I went wrong in the beginning. So I got taught the Metta Bhavana, I'm sitting there, nothing was happening. I was kind of like expecting waves of like fireworks of love or something, and it just wasn't like that. It was much, much more subtle, and it took me a long time to get the right end of the stick. So when we talk about metta, we're talking about what you do. We're talking about karma. What I mean by karma is intentional acts. Yeah, so don't worry if you're in the meditation and it's like, well, I'm not really feeling like I like this person. That isn't the point. The point of metta is you're trying to set up a new groove in the mind where you're trying to set the intention that your behaviour will be different towards this person in the future, perhaps. Yeah?